sent out? It says History Rocks is at 8:45 p.m. It's at 8:45 a.m., right?
For Russian.
So it is in the morning, not at night, right? Okay.
I need to be an engineer. That's what I get to do right now. Go ahead.
Probably most people would go, that's gotta be.
Who's your guy? Sort of there. Apparently the county really cares what kind of pad it's. Auto correct, right? It's really, you know, because apparently they're, I'm sure they'll come help me if something happens. That's right. So it blows up on your fish, you did everything that you're still
I don't know if there's an app that you can mention online. Mr. President, we could call the meeting, to order here for the public hearing.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the public hearing for public comment on the FY 2022-23 budget revision. All the time 6 o'clock.
So, yeah, I could read this, but it's just a description for the budget revision. Individuals may comment on the budget revision. A complete copy of the revised budget can be viewed online or here at the district office. And so we invite the public to make comment at this time if they have any. The last revision of this fiscal year's budget. So, any comments? Yes, not.
Okay, so we can close this one?
Yeah, we'll close this meeting and call the regular meeting to order.
Okay, let's close the public hearing. We'll call it 6:01. And we'll call to order the regular board meeting, also 6:01. I'd like to thank everybody that is here for coming. Brings us to call to order, or roll call, I mean, sorry. Oof,
Eldon Larson,
I am here, kind of.
Karsten Flake,
I'm here.
Andrew Bushman,
Present.
Dayton Flake.
Here.
Kat Hansen. Here.
Thank you. So that brings us to Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a volunteer for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I can do it.
Thank you, Daryl.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have a volunteer for the invocation?
I will.
Karsten?
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee, we're grateful for the opportunity to live in a country where we can meet and decide our future. Please help us to do what's best for our school and those that are involved. We are grateful to Thee for the spring and the summer that's coming and the opportunity to grow our land. And these things we pray for in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Karsten. Okay, that brings us to adoption of the agenda. I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as outlined.
I'll second.
Any comments? Anything that needs to be moved around that anybody saw? Okay. Call for the vote. Dayton? Yes. Andrew? Kat?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks. Karsten, myself, yes. Keep moving the order up here, so I have to figure out who is in order. All right, this is you, Karsten, you're up.
I motion that we approve the minutes for the April 11th board meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion needed, any changes needed, anybody noticed? All right, call for a vote. Andrew? Kat?
Yes.
Karsten?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dayton?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the superintendent's report.
As I've prepared a written report for you, your reference as well, but it's a busy time of the year for us. I wanted to remind the governing board that we have 8th grade promotion ceremony and high school graduation ceremony next week. We'd like your attendance and participation in that ceremony. It's the 17th and 18th. Both of them start at 7 o'clock. So if you could be there a little early, we'll line you out with how it will go, how the process goes. High school awards tonight, you should be aware of. They are at 7, so some people involved with this meeting might have to leave a little early, but we're gonna proceed and try and be efficient with our time here. So if you have any questions on my report, feel free to ask me or have me speak on that update or whatever it is you'd like. Some things that I would like to point out. They have the budget, the state legislature hasn't officially passed the budget yet, but they have proposed one, and it's going to the governor next. So I do have the details of that here. It would be about 3% increase in our budget, and also it increased the district additional assistance by about 9%. So that helps with capital, buses, things of that nature. So I make a reference on my report of some of the fire alarms that went off over the past month. I can discuss those if you'd like. I did want to point out some of the audits that we've had. We had a food service audit with no findings of something that business office and those workers at the cafeterias should be proud of. And also we hosted an immunization clinic that was actually well attended. The county told us we had good numbers comparatively to other communities that set up similar things. So that was good. Just to follow up, one suggestion from a board member last month was a dehumidifier for the old gym, and we did get that. The district now has a small but commercial dehumidifier, and we looked at other solutions for that floor that were recommended. I did also want to just mention the riot-proof safety glass that we've been looking into. So we did find it less when we started comparing vendors, but before we do that, we were meeting the principals and myself and decided it probably would be better for us to look at an automatic door lock switch for the high school before we invest in the shatterproof or riot-proof glass. We think that might be a better thing. So I'm holding off on the film that goes on the glass until we get this automated switch that, say, if we saw someone coming up to the high school that was carrying a gun, we could lock the door from the secretary's desk. Or if we got a call that, hey, someone's on their way to the school to do something, we could lock the door right from the secretary's desk. That's the goal of that. So that's what it is. And at this time, I guess I'll just turn it over to any questions that you might have on my report or current events, things that are going on in our district, if you have any.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fields. Appreciate the report. That takes us to call to the public. Do we have anybody signed up? Okay. I don't have to read that long thing. That's always nice. That brings us to item number 4, consent agenda. Consent agenda items are 4A through 4F. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed? Any questions?
So the approval on the food contract, so you guys know I'm gonna hit it every time. Maybe we should have separated that out.
Yes, we could have.
So I can vote no on it, not on the rest.
Any,
Not now, unless we motion,
Okay, then I'll vote no on all of it.
change the motion.
do you have any questions about,
I just,
what it is?
well, I personally have a hard time, we're losing, depends on what numbers you look at, anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000 on the food. But yet we get an email the other day saying that, well, APS shutting down, we're gonna lose $20 million. So somewhere we've gotta figure out how to sharpen our pencil and save some money, and it just doesn't seem to be happening. We talk about it, but I don't see any real progress as far as, we can't even get a report on what the solar panels cost to pay off. And we talked about that a couple meetings ago, so yeah, I'm a little on the negative about it all.
So on the agenda here, what it is, next year, the contract is up. However, even though we have a multi-year contract, every year, we still have to approve it. So the board goes through that motion, and that's what this is. This is to approve the final year of the contract. We did discuss going out to bid, or looking at other options after this next year. So as far as the item goes, that's what that is. And, yeah, it is a loss, depending on how you look at it. We're paying for a service, but it's a loss, an expense to the budget. We don't make money on it. But, yeah, I do welcome your input, whatever you, feel like you'd like to say on it. So we'll try and work to get you any reports you want on the solar panels as well.
I think we can still pull it out. We can amend the motion
Okay.
if you'd like to pull it out. Or am I wrong on that?
We've amended the motion.
Well, yeah, so we adopted
Roll this one through then. But I am pretty sure my vote no won't change anything.
Yeah. Didn't you say that this is a contract we already have anyway?
Yeah, you can amend to answer Eldon's, yeah, you can pull this one off still. We're not altering the agenda, we're just changing the order of it. So we can amend that motion and change the order of this, pull it out separately. I'll take responsibility. I didn't know for sure, but, looking back, I should have pulled this one off the consent, so.
Don't we have to do this anyway? Cause we already have a contract with them for 5 years.
Yeah, the way it's renewed every year, so technically I suppose we could get out of it, but we'd have to justify things. It would be some work behind it, referring to their contract, but yeah, so we have the option to renew every year of their multi-year contract.
Well, I'm gonna amend my motion. I'll amend my motion that we approve the consent agenda items 4A through 4E as listed. And we're going to separate 4F out.
I'll second again.
Okay, so now we're talking about, we'll do 4F immediately following the consent agenda.
Okay.
So right before 5. Do we have any discussion about anything 4A through 4E? Okay. Call for the vote on 4A through 4E. Andrew?
Yes.
Kat?
Yes.
Vote yes. Dayton? Yes. Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to 4F. I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal of food service management contract with Southwest Food Service excellence for FY 2023-24.
I'll say.
There are financials in the backup of this. Steve, do you mind clicking on that for the reference of the board? Quicker than trying to. That's a breakdown of, looks like monthly percentage.
It's based on, it's meals served, in the different categories, current month, year to date. Current month is February, we haven't got the March, financial yet. And then further on down, that section is the revenue broken down by the different categories. And, following that are the, expenses, SFE charges. SFE, pays the bills on all those, like the food costs, paper costs, chemical costs, et cetera, and then pass that through, to us, included in here. And then the last section is just kind of the summary, the total school district revenues, total cost, the admin fee, so, that's what goes to, and the management fee, that's what goes to SFE, that's what they make off of a program for this amount, so $1,700, about $2,300 and change, for the month of, February. And then the total, food services program surplus or deficit, and then
So our management fee for next year with this, group, SFE, is anticipated to be about $30,000. That's what, we pay them. That's what it costs us for them to manage this program for us and order all the food and run our employees and all that.
So what's our total loss, today?
Yeah,
as of February, $61,000. There's a few months we've made a profit, some we don't.
But in general, we're $61,000 as of
correct.
February.
Right. Now,
For the school year?
Right.
the school year to date. I don't know what, sometimes, like I say, March may be a profit. Sometimes there are losses depending on it depends too on how many school days are in the month, how many days we serve, that kind of thing. So it'll fluctuate from, a month.
How can you be 61,000 negative but have positive months?
Some months cost a lot more than others, depending on the amount. A lot of it depends on the amount of meals we serve,
That's like
10,000 a month loss?
on average, but some months make, that doesn't,
Well, if in February we lost 60,000, we're on 9 months.
No, that's the year, for the year it's 61, although I don't,
Yeah.
where does that show that on here?
It's over in there's a column headed up year to date. So that's where there's current month, and then the cost per meal, percent of sales year to date cost per meal, percent of sales, and then the prior year to date. So the prior year at this time, we were $26,000 in the black.
Yeah, but weren't we still living off of COVID?
Yeah, right.
Right?
so to speak.
we've talked about this before, and I think I asked the question, is there, when we were doing it in-house, were we spending even more money?
Yeah.
So this is saving us?
It has saved us in the past. This year, I think all bets are off. It could go up, but Steve will know offhand. But the last year we did our own. It was like 70.
It was about $80,000 loss, and that was what, 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
So that would have probably been more.
So what does the past due mean down at the very bottom?
Well, they were late getting us some bills. We got a bundle of them at once, and so we didn't on their system. We hadn't paid them, but we just got the bills.
So we're
It's just a lag time between when they prepared this financial for us and when they got the check.
So am I reading that wrong, where it says year-to-date, $354,577.30 past due?
Oh, yeah, 'cause that's not right. That's not past due. I don't know what that means. I'd have to look at that.
I was wondering what that means.
Yeah. No, we're not. So, but the net amount due is,
It says $214,086.55.
yeah,
When do we have to let them know if we're renewing or not?
well, there's a process we have to go through with with Department of Education, work and so forth, and so we typically need to renew in May, or else we may not have everything ready and in place for July 1. It takes us several weeks to go through that, get all the paperwork and get it signed and get ADE's stamp of approval. So that's why we bring it to you.
So if we, just hypothetically, if we table this till next meeting and see if we can find better options,
Well, I'm not sure what those better options would be in the 3 weeks between then and the time we have to start the new school year, but it could be tabled, I suppose, but we'd have a lot of people in our office working overtime trying to get everything done. That's why it's just helpful if we can get it done in May, then we're not scrambling right at the end. And if we don't get it done, then we don't have a food service program on July 1.
we don't start food service until,
We do summer food. We do all summer. We actually make money on the summer food. So there's, we still could end up, better off here, on this financial, because we do make money in June.
not 61,000.
Well, no, but that's why I say some months are up, some months are down. It depends on what we're doing, what's being served.
Any other questions? Like to ask before we go to the vote?
Has it always been like this?
With the exception, some years aren't this bad. I mean, we've had years, Steve can recall offhand, but, where maybe the loss was 30,000. That was prior to COVID-19.
Well, and the other thing that's
40.
affected it pretty dramatically is the increase in minimum wage, because our labor, 90% of it is minimum wage. And so that's gone up from, when we started 7-something an hour now to, almost $14 an hour. So that's been a big factor too. That's in inflation.
Isn't that what the contractor pays for though? That's right, we hire the contractor for X amount. They pay the wages?
Yeah.
They pay the wages and then they pass those costs on to us.
So, I want to make sure we're all clear on that. So no matter what happens with all those things, we're trying to break even with those and minimize our losses, but our cost for these guys to run the program next year is going to be 30,000.
Okay.
So, but they just pass everything else along to us, and we hope to cover it with, what we charge kids or the reimbursements. That's our only hope there, to try and break even.
Okay, so we're paying them 30,000 to run the thing, but they still pass the cost of labor and stuff on to us.
So what are we paying them?
Well, the advantage is we get the expertise and the efficiencies that they, and we have evidence of that. I mean, the year before they came, we were losing $90,000. The year after they came, brought it down to about $20,000 loss. And why is that? Well, it's they come with a lot of expertise that we didn't have on board, as to how to run an efficient program. They leverage, their contracts and stuff for the food, with vendors and that kind of thing. So that's what we get, and that's what we're paying for.
Do other schools have this same issue?
Typically, yes, but there are a few schools that can they do well and they can break even. I think we talked last month about one of our neighboring districts. They do their own. They don't have a management group, but they have some people that live there that can get it done, I guess, and they've done a good job.
They have, a lot more money to work with than we do because they have a higher, the free and reduced, well, it's 100% free and reduced, and we're 40.
Well, they have a big kind of industrial kitchen and all that where they do all that.
Yeah, and you got,
Other schools, which we don't have that.
right, you gotta have some economies of scale there.
Do smaller schools typically struggle more than bigger schools? I mean, how do our peer 1A schools? Or I'm guessing some of them probably don't even have food service still. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but.
Usually the lower economic end ones they're gonna be taken care of.
And, you know, we were fine when we were, during COVID, you know, we assumed everybody was, you know, everybody basically went on free and reduced at a higher reimbursement rate, and we were fine.
So when we were getting food for breakfast and stuff like that too.
The government was paying it during
Yeah,
COVID.
Right, so it's when that free and reduced percentage starts to dip, back down like ours is now again, after, and that's the reimbursement rate, and is much, from the feds, is much higher than what we get. That's the $3 and whatever, 50 cents or whatever it is that we charge.
What would the negative impact be if we closed the cafeteria?
The negative
Yeah,
impact?
well,
Well-
some kids will go hungry, we know that.
We didn't have a cafeteria here for a long time. My younger kids, I think Annalie was in 6th grade when they got the cafeteria.
To the 27 or something like that we got it?
We could start a district-wide intermittent fasting program.
What's that diet where they only eat at night or one meal a day?
That's
Oh, okay.
But we are an educational institution, not a,
Feed the hungry.
I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or nothing, but if we have to cut a teacher out to feed all the kids, where are we really getting ahead?
2 teachers. $60,000 is close to 2 teachers.
No.
So that's just,
Hey,
like I said, there's other things to look at. It seems like we talked about looking at things and we just spin our wheels and we're back in the same discussion. Andrew saying the exact same thing he said for the last 3 years in this seat. 2 years, whatever.
When we did breakfast, I didn't bring this up, but I thought the whole skill about doing breakfast is that it would save the district money.
It has.
Does that save us money?
It always has. Now, this year, our counts have gone down, and it's not so much this year, but in the past, it has, certainly has.
All I'm saying is it's time to look at other options, not just go with the status quo.
Okay, any other discussion, or can we vote? Kat, you get to go first.
Yes.
Karsten?
no.
Myself, no. Dayton?
No.
Okay. That one doesn't pass. I'll have to figure something else out, gentlemen. And Kat, thank you for the vote. Go on to, I don't see anything for executive session. Takes us to action items, 6A, personnel requests. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel request as listed.
I'll second.
So there's a long list there. If you haven't looked at it yet, I encourage you to go down there and the list and look at the different appointments, renewals, or resignations.
But we can modify that too.
She doesn't want to, you don't have to. You are not her source of income.
Did we already second this?
Andrew?
I believe so.
Who seconded?
Who seconded it? Andrew did.
Does this give us, enough help during the summer and lifeguards? Are we good there, or do we still need more?
We're still advertising for lifeguards. I think our summer help as far as everything else should be fine.
As far as our administration for the pool, are we set? We're just looking for more lifeguards, is that correct?
We're still advertising.
There's quite a few lifeguards.
How many lifeguards do you typically hire?
Well, typically, all the ones that apply, I think, but the ones with more seniority get more hours and things like that. So typically, we're short too.
The more you get, the easier it is to
So like vacation.
schedule vacations and
Some
things
of
like
them
that.
quit too, pretty soon.
Yeah. We also need to I think we need to take notes. We have 2 teachers that are resigning that have been teaching here for quite a while, especially Mr. Strickowitz.
But we snuck one from the neighboring district.
We also have a new teacher that we're gonna be hiring. Make sure that you're taking note of that. Like I say, we appreciate the work that we've got out of Mr. Strickowitz and Mr. Stradling.
How long has Sturt taught here? 30 or 40?
37.
37? We having a party for him?
I don't think he wants it.
I don't think he'll show up, but
Okay.
One flying.
Any other comments, questions? Karsten, you're first.
yes.
Myself, yes. Staton?
Yes.
Andrew? Kat?
Yes.
Thank you. Takes us to 6B. I'll make a motion that we approve the FY 23-24 additional pay increase as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion here?
More questions. If you want me to brief you on it, I can. Some backup items.
So you're doing basically the same thing with this as we did with the last one last month, correct?
Yeah.
Another 1,000.
Looks like it's just the exact same identical thing.
Pretty awesome. Let's do it again next month too.
Sure, the teachers would like that.
Well, the question is, you mentioned we may be getting about a 3% increase for pay. Does this eat up to 3%?
Well, for the budget, this, the average teacher this will be a little bit more than 3%, depending on, but it's $2,000, so, you know.
So between this one and the last one, it's about 6% then, if this one's 3?
No,
I don't know, total.
Okay,
It was 1,000
Okay.
last time, 1,000 this time.
okay.
2,000.
but yes, so it's, like 3% to the budget.
So what we're getting for it, we're putting into it.
Yeah,
Almost all of it.
or maybe, we're probably putting in a more, percent, but as far as the numbers, dollar to dollar, it might be about equal. I have to look at that. And it hasn't passed yet, actually, so
Is this based on that passing, or is it?
no, it's
Okay.
based, like in the backup, performance pay, we're trying to, use that, what we've saved up there, and that's how more solid.
Classroom site funds.
Yeah, what did I say?
Performance.
Yeah, classroom site fund is what it's called, yeah.
So if we get that 3%, we potentially could do more?
No, that wasn't the plan.
Okay, I was just curious.
Use that for the other expenses, but, yeah.
Okay, call for the vote. Myself, yes. Staton?
Yes.
Andrew? Kat?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
We had, I know this is out of order a little bit, but when we set up the budget, we planned for a 2 or 3% with an estimate. So that's what, we're already counting on that increase, just to be clear.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, that brings us to 6C. I'll make the motion that we approve the budget revision as presented.
I'll second.
questions on this one?
This is what we had the hearing about at the beginning of the meeting, so, we have the budget here attached, and I have a hard copy if you'd like to look at it.
And this is technically, I guess, the budget we're on right now,
Yeah.
not the one we approved for next year.
Right.
Okay.
This is, yeah, because it shifts throughout the year until
Right.
numbers have finalized, and now they are.
We do these revisions quite often.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, Dayton,
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Kat?
Yes.
Carson?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Thank you. That brings us to 6D. I'll make the motion that we accept the audit reports as presented.
Second.
Wanna
So this
tackle
was,
one?
yeah, this was provided last month to you guys too, but I've got a printout here and it's also in your backup. Overall, it went very well. No, so there's different audits you have, like, we have one for our federal programs, a financial audit, and no findings. There were comments, made when they pulled, like, they'll pull 9 travel requests, and I get, maybe one of those won't have a signature or some kind of paperwork lined out right. And that's what the comments will be. You'll see that. There's just a couple of pages of comments, but no findings. So overall, it went good. Our federal projects didn't have any. So it's pretty good audit in general. But
Do we rotate through different auditors? Use one auditor for 2 or 3 years and you use a different one, or is it all the same?
that's a good question. You want to take it? I'll take it if you don't want to.
Yeah, we go to bid on that every 5 years. And, so we have a different audit firm now than we did years ago.
They passed a law where you have to, there's actually a state law now where you have to get it different.
Well, actually, they passed that law and then they unpassed it because it caused a lot of havoc.
Yeah, the school districts didn't like that because there's not many school auditors in the state, so they like keeping the same one. Generally speaking, districts and superintendents, they don't like to go to different ones, but then they had passed this law, and I guess they repealed it, but, so this is a new one for us. This isn't the typical one, right?
Yeah, so the firm that we were using, got bought out by a different firm. So it's a different one now. And then, but after this next audit, the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, once we get that audit done, then we go back to bid again.
Can I ask, why you're interested? Do you like to see us do different auditors, or, I mean?
The different auditors is good because you have different people look for different things, and so they catch it differently.
You do get different people that come in, you know, they bring in their.
But just corporation-wise, it's,
Yeah.
Every company seems to hit a little bit differently. It's like in my field, it's if you use the same inspector, you know exactly how to make them happy and how to get them out the door. When they change it up, you panic a little bit.
And that's why our legislature passed it. They're people that feel just like that, and that's why they passed that law. And then they repealed it accordingly.
Well, and part of it too was schools, you know, a lot of times they like to go with the low bidder, and and sometimes that kind of gets in the way if you're, anyway, so.
But yeah, thank you for sharing. So yeah, it's good. We're happy with this one for the most part.
Any other questions? I don't see where it says anything about findings or anything on here. Am I-
No findings. That back report will have comments, just 2 pages of comments. I can pull them out here. Steve might be able to pull them up there too. So it's the U-Suffer one, USFR, summary. Oops.
I know one that affected something I did. I got a hotel for Mr. Hutchins that was above the state-approved rate. And they noted that I checked 15 other hotels and got the best price possible. And none of them were below the state rate. But that was that wasn't a finding, but it's
It's
mentioned.
a comment that,
A
yeah,
comment.
yeah.
So
So here
there's
they are.
comments. There's a lot to these audits, as you can see, but if you just want to go to the comments they found about, you know, things that weren't perfect, this is it. So,
What page is that? Oh, two.
what's the name, the title page, Steve?
It's called USFR Compliance Questionnaire. And then it's the second page on right here.
Starts here.
That one. And it's which one, the second page?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Would you guys like us to go through them all, the comments, or give you time to go through them?
I'm just kind of glancing through, looking for anything that seems maybe significant. Not sure what number 3 is there, that 5,800 was transferred.
And indirect costs, it's like for managing grants or a fund. Looks like the food,
That's 570 well, that's the indirect cost fund. And 466 was that governor's grant, you know, for the, we ran, you know, have those classes in the evening.
mm-hmm.
And our understanding up front was that we would, and we included in the budget to be able to charge indirect costs to the grant. And then when they came back and did the audit, they said, oh, no, you weren't supposed to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I found the one Julie was talking about.
Sorry, I can't help myself, but 3 out of the 18 are food related. Food service related on the ding. Or 3 out of 16, sorry.
I'm not sure. There's number 4. We stopped using that bank account and didn't get it closed that fiscal year. So that's what that relates to. Was there another one that you?
Number 3 says food service, but that,
So does number 9.
it
Oh.
wasn't necessarily a lunch expense or something like that.
Number 9 is actual expenditures of 10,315.
Oh, that's just an example. It just says the U.S. you can only provide transfers for federal grants or Fund 510. They're just explaining what the rule is.
What about number 9?
That was the problem with the service.
Number 9.
Yeah, I think what happened there is we made so our annual financial report, like every number on there has to agree with the general ledger and the financial statements at the end. And I think what happened there is a journal entry was made after the numbers were extracted for the audit. And so that's why they didn't agree. And let's see. So yeah, there's probably looks like an $1,800 journal entry that was made, and I'm not sure what that journal entry was, what was transferring there,
Well, we could look it up, right?
but that's the discrepancy.
We also had late charges on credit cards.
$355 out of about
Better than-
out of about $100,000 in charges, I might add.
Less than it usually is.
So we're getting better there.
Yes, we are.
Anything else? I would like, no. Dayton?
Yes.
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, that brings us to 6E. I'll make the motion that we approve the travel request by Future Business Leaders of America Student Club to travel to national competition in Atlanta, Georgia.
I'll second.
So this is the first time I think they've qualified, at least in a very long time that I know of. And they're trying to still raise the money. It looks like they're about $3,500 short still. So they're,
We might not be allowed to talk about names, but
Yes, we had 3 students that qualified to go out of the state meet. And so, yeah, it's a group of 3 students going down. That would go down if it's approved.
How do they qualify to go?
They have state meets, kind of like sports. And that when you go to those state meets, you have, there's different areas, and I'm not going to pretend to know all the areas, but they do like a business. One of them, I think this one specifically is you present a business style situation, or they give you when you get there, they give you a business and you have to design it and what you would do to make it successful, if I remember right, for this one. And so, this
is it a team?
Yeah, it's a group of 3.
So it is a team event, not,
I think they have 4, but only 3 that can go or something, or want to go or can't.
I think you can have 4, but I think the minimum is 3.
Well, the picture has 4 kids in it on the flyer.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
3 on this and 2 adults.
There's 3 going. You can have 4, a group of 4. One of the 4 is not able to go. That was part of the original.
Yeah, she's on the team still.
so, but they'll still be able to compete.
Yes, you just need 3 to compete.
Okay. And they're providing all their funds.
That's
No,
the-
fun, but yeah.
So that's what he's saying. They've got 65% of it and trying to finish off the rest. Doing some fundraisers and things like that. But the plan, if I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Fields, is for them to finish off the majority of that to be able to go.
And if they can't, then the school will help them?
That's my plan. I don't want to put this off on anybody else as their idea. My plan was because it's co-curricular. Now I want them to try and pay for it, but if we're in a bind, so we don't lose all the money, I think we might want to at least front them, because they make it in concessions usually back, that club.
It seems like there used to be at least some vocational funds that could go to help. I know we went to Skills Day and other stuff like that with those funds. Is there still those funds that are available?
There's no funds available for that. They were all used for this year and to send teachers over the summer to the Tucson conference.
That might be something to budget for next year if we are.
Well, the challenge is, you don't expect to make it to nationals very often, so, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, anything else? I don't remember where I am, so we're gonna start with Andrew.
Yes.
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 Myself, yes. Dayton? Great.
On my end of the deal, we pay however much when a sports team goes to state. This is, the kids in Dallas State, so.
Are there those funds available?
Which funds are we talking about?
Sports, I mean, can they be used for something else? Cause we do pay, like you're saying, we do pay for them to go to state and stuff like that.
You can use whatever funds the district has for this. It's not like anything specific.
I don't think we spend as much.
That was just
as I'm
mine.
going to state as you think we do.
Oh, I don't know how much we do, but
Anybody can raise money, the business group ought to be able to.
Well, that's quite a chunk they've come up with to support their
own,
their own thing. We don't see that out of any other extracurricular activity that I can think of right now, to that extent.
They do work hard and do a great job in defense of everybody else. They have a nice setup to where they are assigned the concession stand, and so they make all the money off of the concession stand.
How many are in this group? It's not just the four, is it?
Correct.
Business class.
Yeah, so the business class all participates in it, and then there's also some extra kids that are part of the club that will go to events throughout the year. They've been to 3 or 4 events throughout the year, counting this one.
But if these four qualify.
Correct. Yeah, we had others that went down to the state meet that did not qualify.
maybe it's something we could continue to roll over money, or are we already?
Like from their earnings each year?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
it stays in that same.
yeah, it goes to them and they keep it.
Some schools
Maybe
run
they should run a
concessions at
cafeteria,
lunch.
Andrew.
You ain't kidding.
There could be conflicts, but like a lot of high schools I probably still do run concessions at lunch. I don't, but it's probably an option we can at least look at.
Have fun.
Okay. Let's call for the vote on this one. Kat,
Yes.
Karsten,
Yes.
myself, yes, Dayton, Andrew.
What did we just vote for?
What do we already voted on?
We
that.
Voted for it.
Did we vote for it already? I thought we just approved that we did this. Okay, sorry, my bad.
We started asking questions after. we voted.
I mean,
Boy, I'm sorry. Keep me straight. That's good. Okay.
The information items, if I could just quickly, so there's some policies we just received, but I've gone through them. The ones that you see there with the textbook and curriculum ones, they're modifying those to make it very clear that any textbook selection committee, those are all open meetings. So you can't keep the public out of looking at the selection of books or the curriculum. They're open meetings, even if the board sets aside a separate committee. So they're making sure the wording is all consistent with that. That's what you'll see if you look at that. The other medicine updates, medication is addressing some epilepsy and Narcan, whatever it's called that we give, and the EpiPen.
EpiPens.
And then, yeah, so that's what, we can go into more next month if you'd like, but the policies are attached and they're in the back.
Okay. Any requests for future agenda items?
Budget in the cafeteria. Or food service, or whatever we wanna call it.
And I know it's been 2 months ago, we seriously hard talked about an actual payoff on the solar panels. We haven't seen that, and some of those other kind of things.
That's,
You get leftover
that's the thing I showed on the screen 2 months ago. I can print that out for you if you'd like. That's the payoff. That was the payoff schedule. That was it. That was on the screen. That
Well, what's the actual payoff? What do we have an insert? I mean,
yeah,
we're losing $20 million over 10 years. We better sharpen our pencil and it better be dang quick or we're gonna be sold to China. Like,
I'm just saying, we did have that on a board meeting.
you better email it to me because I don't remember it. Anyway. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amortization schedule.
there's no payoff fees.
Yeah, well, it has the
Has the
balance.
payoff fees on it?
After each payment, it says
Do you
here.
have early payoff fees?
What do you mean by budget?
I don't think there are.
Budget
Well, let's check on that,
or
because
better budget?
there shouldn't be, but you
Where
never
we're
trust
gonna
anything
modify.
that comes up with.
We've talked about it.
We're lawyers.
Targeting.
You better make sure that's clear.
We've talked about, for example, the solar panel payoff and other things. We've talked about it in a few meetings. I think we need to, and we did have a budget meeting, but not really anything was discussed as far as what we could cut, save, spend, not spend. I think we need to look at those things and get some things figured out and what are our options. Also, I think we need to look at some sort of food service, something, or the possibility of canceling it, or
We did, it's canceled, right? I mean, we didn't renew it. We got an issue.
yeah,
That's immediate if we're gonna do anything.
yeah.
Probably.
But I think that's something we need to look at the next meeting is what are our options? What can we do?
Yeah, I'm afraid they might not be good on that front. We will, I will personally spend time, and Steve, I'll put him on it too, but I don't know what we could come up with besides them, and we're gonna have to get out of this contract too with them. So, it's good, it could be.
Well, can they come back and say, okay, look, here's a different plan, here's where we can save you money, because it really feels like we're filtering all our money through them, so they can skim some off the top and hand it back to us. I mean, straight up, because for breakfast, they're getting, I mean, you can't even find a menu online anymore. Where?
I pull them up. Sometimes parents will call.
I
To
can't
teach
find
them
it.
how to do it on the website.
We have a policy where we don't return agenda items that are, like, not approved. But, I mean, if the board would be willing to look at a proposal, a contract with them that didn't include breakfast, is that something we could do? I mean, it may be less.
Well,
That would be changed.
breakfast can come and go under the same contract. It's not we don't contract specifically.
It's not gonna say, yeah, this amount is, it won't change that $30,000 to manage our food system if they don't have a breakfast?
Yeah, it could change that outcome. I'm just saying we don't have to alter the contract in order to drop, breakfast. But I mean, there are other things. I mean, our grants and E-rate and a lot of, there are funding sources that depend on those free and reduced applications that if, when we don't have a food service program come July 1, people aren't gonna fill those out anymore. So that's gonna affect some other funding.
Well, I thought that was our big problem anyways, they don't fill them out.
Well, we get 40% of them do. So we get some, we just don't, there are a few people that don't.
Well, it'd be interesting to make a phone call and say, hey, the board said no. But do we have any other proposals we can come back with them on? It may change their mind.
We have conversations with them about that regularly. What can we do to improve the program? We don't just sit back and accept whatever they do.
But sometimes when you get a big old fat, it ain't gonna happen, you're searching a little harder than you did before.
So we'll see what they say.
Let them come back with a proposal. And $60,000 is a hard take when we're talking losing $10 million a year,
2 million.
or $2 million.
Kids drop breakfast, how much would that save us?
Well, I can't tell you that off the top of my
Really
head.
do.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
That's what I'm saying. Let's
Complaints
give them
about
options.
breakfast from teachers anyway.
They've actually, SFU has actually recommended, this a couple months ago that we might want to consider dropping breakfast, and we did. And so they're already telling us that, because this is the first year, that it hasn't been profitable for us. It has passed, but not this year.
Because as a parent, when they first implemented it, was my understanding, maybe I was not informed well enough, but my understanding that was like a grant thing, and that's why we were doing it in the first place. Is that not true?
I understood that same thing.
There
But
were a
was
couple
some grants to take care
associated
of.
with it, but that, not exactly, but
Oh.
there were like, yeah. a
Well, I
couple of
didn't
grants
my
with it.
kids never participated in it, so I didn't, but that's
Yeah, we get,
my just passing understanding of it, word of mouth kind of thing. But,
I think they were equipment grants, but yeah, no, the board's spoken, and there's more to feed the kids, really, and we didn't anticipate it would be an expense. It was pretty much a break-even deal. So, but, in some years it's been that or even a little better, but we'll the board's spoken, we'll notify this company and see what we can do. Might be able to come back with a management fee that doesn't include breakfast, or we can try and hire somebody to, or not have it and operate like we used to. We'll still try and do the forms. Forms was still, we gotta try and collect those regardless what we, but that's where we'll go from here. But I can't really
So is
make
it
any
that
promises.
people don't fill out that form if they don't think their kids are gonna get the meals?
A lot of people, from my understanding of it, a lot of people don't fill it out because they don't want the extra paperwork to fill it out, and they might not want people to know what they make.
But they will if they feel like their kids are getting a
Yeah.
free meal.
Generally speaking, they do.
But
We
still
have a
only
lot, we
40%.
have a lot of them that, what they call direct certification. So if we have a family that's on some, you know, there's a list of them, welfare programs, we're able to directly certify with the state, and they don't have to fill out forms. And we have a pretty good percentage of those who get the free meals because of their income and their status.
So how many free meals are we serving versus meals that are being paid for?
It's actually on that financial report, it breaks it down.
Some of it, what they call they partially qualify, some are full,
Yeah.
free.
Find that page.
It's a little algorithm they got set up here. And those are reimbursements, so you get reimbursed per kid for, depending on where they're set up.
Isn't it like 100% and 40% or something like that, or 60 or?
Yeah.
I guess I need to go home and study this.
So on this financial report, on the first page, those statistics are a number of meals served. So you can kind of go down this and you can see full price breakfast meals, free breakfast meals, severe need free breakfast meals, and then you get down a little farther into lunches. So in the month of February, we served 762 full price lunches, and then about almost 394 reduced and 1,022 free meals. So it's about twice as many free or reduced meals than full price meals is what we serve.
And all that means is how much we get reimbursed, you know, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's this last page here, if I'm looking at the right, this is the SFE contract renewal.
Yeah,
It's almost double breakfast served versus lunch.
Yeah, it's because almost every
Because
kid,
it's just brought to the classroom,
and almost every kid
so
takes
everyone,
it.
and lunch, people go.
Well, they have to take a meal. They, just because you bring it, it doesn't count until the kid takes the meal. And so about 80% or so of our kids, between 80-85% of our kids take a breakfast every day. And on the contract, let me back out to it just a second here.
there were a few instances this year where we had teachers not reporting, like they're correct, getting credit reimbursement for any of the meals we're sending to those classrooms. I think we've got that correct.
So
You got it. What you said is right, yeah.
So and by the way, on this contract, you know, that's all paperwork that ADE, that's a form they give us, and you can't change a word in there unless they say it's something that you can change. And because it's all driven by the rule, the FDA federal rules for that money, for the use of that money. So anyway, there's, you get down here and it says, Food Service Management Company Cost Reimbursable Contract Renewal Amendment Financial Projection Worksheet. So what they do is then they project for fiscal year '24, and you get all the way down to the bottom, and they project a loss of 58,000 for fiscal year '24. And then the next page, I think it's, well, it's not the next page, it's the, couple of pages later, then they have to guarantee that that loss will not exceed $58,000. That's part of their contract, is they can't, they can't go, they have to say, we'll manage this in such a way that you won't lose more, or that you'll make this much money, or that you won't lose more than this. And if we do, then we eat the cost. Now, and now there's other, you know, that's assuming there's things that are out of their control, like if inflation goes to 20% or whatever, but based on current conditions.
So what's the number that they guarantee we won't lose?
Right there, it's at 58,572 right here. Yeah. For,
They aren't in business to
So-
lose money, they'll, it would,
and the page before is what they get, their fee. It's well, I don't know why it's broken into administrative fee and a management fee. That's the way ADE does it, but it's $1,857 a month for one and $676 a month for the other. That's what we pay them.
So what does this mean here on page 7, where it says breakfast free claiming 38%, lunch free claiming 47%?
Are you looking at the contract or the financial statement?
The contract.
Oh,
Does that mean we're getting, there's
reimbursement
40,
rate.
yeah, a claim.
47% of the lunches and 30% of the breakfast?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah, a claim means, a claim is, we make a claim to the state to reimburse us for those.
So
free
we
meals.
can be reimbursed for more lunches than we can breakfast, but we're serving more breakfast than we are lunch.
Right, and that's based on, yeah. And this is based on, this contract then is based on assuming that that's our claims percentage. And they look at historically to come up with that. That's not just a number that grabbed out of the blue.
How many students do we have?
District-wide,
About 450-ish, depending on how you count kindergarten and preschool students.
we can get into the weeds here with those numbers too, because they could go up or down depending on how many kids that don't qualify are eating. So, I mean, you get, right? 47% of those free claim lunches.
Well, of all the contracts that we go into, I do have to tell you, the food service loans are highly controlled. They're regulated, highly regulated by the state. There is nothing, we don't have the choice of saying, we want to tweak it and do this. They say, no, you have, these are your 5 choices, and you can't do anything different if you're going to accept federal money.
But we showed the board, we're on track to lose more than we're supposed to.
Well, yeah, but like I said, we're not done with the year. We'll make money in June, so that it'll fluctuate over the years.
Part of the, yeah.
Summer food, we actually do make money on summer food. And this summer, the program that we'll be under is actually the same program we were under for COVID, at a higher reimbursement rate. And it's something they just came out with actually a couple of days ago, and it's only for rural school districts, because and it's kind of the motivation behind that, I guess, is, and it's kind of weird, it's kind of sad. They said that with all the school shootings that have been going on lately, they would rather not have people congregate in cafeterias for those summer programs. It's just give them the bag of food, the drive-by like we did during COVID, and so that they don't congregate. And so, but they only approve that for whatever reason for rural schools, so Joseph City does qualify for that.
So why did we start doing breakfast? Was there a need? And what was?
It was in response to well, several things, I guess. It's, it isn't any one thing. One is we were having some complaints about quality of the food, and kids didn't like to go to the cafeteria, and so our numbers were going down. And so yeah, we were losing money. And so we spent a lot of time working on that with.
So we were serving breakfast in the cafeteria for people who wanted to go to the
He's talking about
cafeteria.
lunch.
For lunch, no breakfast. We were serving breakfast in the cafeteria, and kids wouldn't come and do it. So we were.
So doesn't that show that there really wasn't a need if they weren't willing to go to the cafeteria to get their food?
Well, it depends. I mean, now, we've got 80% of the kids who take a breakfast now. Does that show a need or
Because
not?
it's put in front of their face and they're gonna eat.
Well, right,
Fair.
but how do you define a need? I mean, if kids are taking it,
That's what I'm asking, like,
yeah.
why,
That's timing.
But you're
Yeah.
putting a granola bar in front of a kid.
Part of it's kids don't get to school in time to go to the cafeteria. And then the elementary level, what the feedback we were getting is they first thing they want to do when they get here is go play for recess. And then they get hungry mid-morning, but it's too late by then. So it was just a different way, I mean, let's, I just want to be straight with you about this. I mean, one of our goals is, I know this is different than what Andrew, and that's fine. And let's, it's fine that we have different points of view. But one of the things that we were trying to do is feed as many kids as we can, because we know that affects instruction, it affects education in a positive or negative way. If they're hungry negatively. And so we were trying to be able to find ways to do that in an economical way. And so one of the things we looked at was what can we do to get our numbers up for breakfast? So that was one reason. Another reason was we at the time, it made economic sense. We actually, we did make money for those first few years on the breakfast program, because you get, you even if you pay for your full price kids, you get a reimbursement from the state. It's just not very much compared to a free or reduced child. And so it was enough that we were able to make some money on, but what happened is wages kept going up and up and up, and to the point where now it's, as of this year, it's just not profitable like it was.
Yeah, but I think I know that there is, at least at the high school and junior high, that the breakfast in the classroom is not always a positive thing. It can be a negative thing. It's a distraction. I've heard many teachers complain about it.
Yeah, and I know that goes on, and I respect their points of view there. But we, the other side of that is that we do have kids that come to school hungry. We do, and we always will. And I wish it wasn't that way, but we do. And they take the food, and the food that they don't eat, a lot of it ends up, and some of it ends up in the library, some of it ends up on sharing tables, and those kids come in all day and ask for, do you have any apples left do you have this, do you have any juices left or whatever, and they come in and they snack on it.
But for $58,000, couldn't we still do that?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't we have a freezer full or a fridge full of chocolate milk, and if kids need it, they can still come into the library? Or couldn't we have a bunch of granola bars, and couldn't we?
Well,
So I'm just saying, there's other ways to do this, that we could minimize the teacher classroom stress.
well, we have to get specific, just like you're saying, and it's not enough to say there's other, there've got to be other ways. We need to get specific. So just to address what you've just said, if we do it under the federal food service program, you have to follow their guidelines. You can't.
But we're losing $58,000 by doing it under their program. I'm saying we tell them to pound sand. We got $58,000 we can buy Pop-Tarts with.
Well, and that's
what they're getting anyway.
And that's the problem. We can't use tax levy money
But we are. That's $58,000 of tax levy money.
But
through that channel.
It's through federal, regulation, state law and so forth.
Can't lose $58,000, but the feds can do it for us.
Uh-huh, they're good at
Right,
it.
we can't just give food away. There has to
That's what we're doing.
be some kind of a federal law that says, here's how you can do it if you follow these
You have
guidelines.
to do it the right way, Ann.
In preschool, we do snacks for
I know what
preschool.
you're saying, but what I'm saying is there's gotta be more than just a hit A and B and feed them a pile of seed.
In preschool, we provide snacks for kids. And, but the way we do that in preschool is, I don't know, I think some of them, I don't know if they eat lunch through our program or not. Some of them, I think, might, but we do,
Preschool is
but we do,
thing, even before there was cafeteria.
right. And the way we,
Starting in Joe City, I got graham crackers and milk.
yeah, well, the way we do that
Right
is
before.
through the tuition payments. We don't use.
Remember that long?
We don't use our regular budget of money to buy those. We're very careful about that. We use the tuition payments that parents make. I mean, it's just different silos of that money goes into that can be used for certain things.
I hear Andrew, and it's logical, and I think I'm curious now, because what he said is actually true. I mean, we're doing it already. I would like to know what kind of I mean, I know we can't buy food with some of our funds straight out, but we are using those same funds in direct M&O to pay for the cafeteria service.
Right, it's because the grant that money, our food service is funded by a federal grant. And there's an AG's opinion on that. We actually went through it a week or two ago. And it says you can only spend money on food if they're like 50 miles away from school, or the terms of a grant or a donation say that yes, the terms of the grant are to use this for food. And
Are there other
I mean,
funds that aren't federal funds?
can't
that we
help
can
that.
use? Well, no, I'm not asking you to. I understand we can't use federal funds to buy food, but a lot of times money we change pots or whatever. Is there any M&O funds that we have available that you know of that are legally we could purchase food or snacks with?
Not M&O.
So where does the 58,000 come out of?
He said a
51,000.
federal fund.
Well, if it's a federal grant, then we're not losing.
Well, the part of the federal law that authorizes food service says that you also have to kick in some as a district, and it's trumped by that federal law for that particular program and that grant. If you're not using that money to help supplement Fund 510, which is food service, then no, you're not allowed to spend it on other, for food. So it's just the way, it's just the way it works.
Well, I understand that, there are some kids, I personally don't think it's a gigantic majority, that might need something at breakfast time. But I don't think that need trumps this gigantic financial burden to the whole district. I just don't think so. I mean.
Well, yeah, and I understand that, and I wonder too, are there other things that we
I mean,
fund?
I have a teenager that I can't hardly get him to have something in his mouth before he goes to school.
Sure.
And I myself never ate a breakfast all 4 years of high school. So I know not every teenager is like that, but a lot of them are. And elementary school, okay, yeah, that might be different. But I just talked to a teacher yesterday who threatened to write up a kid because they wouldn't get the food away from the computer, and it's just a hindrance at the high school and the junior high.
We hear you guys loud and clear, and you guys have spoken, so we'll do whatever we can to see what other options are available for us. But yeah, I get you guys, I hear you, so we gotta do what we can do now, move on from here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brings us to, so we got the request for next meeting. Okay, I got this. There we go. You wanted some more budget information?
Yeah. What can we do to start saving some money and look at different things? And is there other cafeteria or food service or something options? What are our things out there?
Steve, I mean, I don't want you, I get all directed at Steve, I'm, gotta be the one responsible here, and we've met several times about our budget this month. So we're doing pretty good. I mean, I don't wanna give the impression that we're not, solvent or whatever. We're managing, and we do have a cushion, you know, or a cushion isn't the word I like to use, but often you hear it, carryover savings in preparation for if and when the plant closes. So hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, pushing that amount. So, so I don't know you gotta tell me specifically like what you want. If it's the solar panel payoff, we got that and we can print that out.
Well, and the solar panel, and one of the other things we didn't catch up on, just real quick, was also, what does it cost? I mean, if we pay it off, what are we actually gonna put in our pocket?
Yeah.
That was one of the big things that we were lacking is, okay, we pay off 800,000, what are we gonna put back in our pocket every month?
Yeah.
That was one of the big things that
We have that, and my estimate would be, and it's gonna change with the cost of electricity, about $200,000 a year, but he'll wanna narrow that down. It'll be on the amortization schedule. We'll be able to kind of see what that is as of today's dollars, not, you got degradation
that's what we
and all.
pay them with what they'll save us, but what is APS savings on it?
Yeah. Well, we've looked at it,
Well, what goes back in our pocket is what we're not paying on those loans, that loan payment, that's what goes back in our.
so that's what.
So everything that we pay on those loans, or everything that they take out of us, they pay for the loan, plus the additional that we take out of district.
So when I was here when we did the thing, okay, and it's supposed to still be the same way, and there's been a couple of times that the district has had to go out and say, hey, you are not following contract. So what contract was, is that it was net zero.
Mm-hmm.
What we pay to them, they were guaranteeing they were gonna save us
But I think last
in
time.
our electric bill. So if our electric bill is not saved, right?
Right.
Then they have to cover that.
Mhm.
So,
But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we have some added district costs on that?
It's break even, but there are like some maintenance, costs or something like that are
There
usually
was
very,
some of that wasn't covered.
it's supposed to be
yeah, it's break,
break.
doesn't cost us anything.
That's correct.
And then,
Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. We had to take them to court,
Yeah, I remember
threaten
that.
to take them to court, or did
Seems
we
like
actually
a
go to
couple
court
of
anyway? We
different
ended up
times.
winning that one, they had to pay it off.
because we had panels that were broken, or didn't get replaced, and, you know, they have to replace them, so and so they reimburse us the difference. So it's no cost to us until, you know, once they're paid off, and then we make that savings, which I think will be about $200,000 a year, from what I remember. But we can pull that, it's whatever cost they're making from the panels right now, paying off the cost to install them. Right,
That's what it's supposed to.
these are good questions, so we can, so that.
So
that is
4 years,
something-
if we paid it off 4 years, would be money positive. And then we have an extra 200,000 on year number 5 into the district budget, theoretically.
That's a viable
Solar panel
strategy.
Efficiency drops and we,
Well, here's a nice thing, the price of your electricity is going up faster
Not
than
nice.
the degradation of the solar panels. So really,
yeah.
as the price of electricity goes up, those solar panels are looking better and better.
But I mean, you factor it all out, the sooner we get it paid off, the sooner there's an extra $200,000 per year in the budget's expenses.
Since if we have the money, and we do, to pay it off early, it's viable, absolutely, he's right.
And we talked, I know at one time about buying some buses, about buying some vehicles and others.
Yeah.
So, but those are things that I would like to see what we've done and what we've spent and what else we need to keep going and see what we can spend now in the ESSER funds and whatever else to prevent. And those are the things that I think Andrew's talking about as well, is let's see what else we can do preventative now.
2 buses, 2 cars, purchases we've made from our meetings that we had,
Yeah.
budget work sessions.
But is there other?
The track, people are asking for that, but that's not my recommendation. I
Well, we
mean,
just kicked $60,000. You think we're gonna go for 400,000?
but, yeah.
But solar panels paid off 2 years, they paid for it. The track.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. If that's how you want to.
I'm just saying, to me,
Or it could
it's cash
pay for-
positive.
Look at all the meals they could pay for too.
But if they run around the track, they won't get that hungry.
That's true. Yeah. So we don't, my point, Mr. Flake, is what else you want to cut? I mean, we don't need to cut.
Well, I'm not talking about cutting, I'm just, what else, because we've talked about different options of different things, the buses, the van, vehicles. Is there more things that we need to continue to look at to buy now to save money for later so that we're more ready? We've talked about roofs that we could get done to prevent, what else?
My job to get that stuff to you.
Yeah.
So we are looking at a new vehicle, and so I got to get that stuff to you as our needs arise, unless you guys really want to go through all that. But our roofs are caught up, except for 2 at the high school, and the SFP has told me they were taking care of that. They actually told me they'd have an email to me today, but they didn't. But so we're caught up with roofs, cars. The track, like I said, I have an opinion. I'll talk all day about it, but I'm just not sure at this point that we.
To me, the pressing thing would be track and heating and cooling in high school.
Yeah, the boilers.
And we've talked about the boilers and stuff too.
SFP told me they just told me on Friday they would pay for our boiler. So they almost made the agenda, but not quite, because it's not.
Thank you for what you do in that area. I know you do a lot there.
You do a fantastic job. Well, I think we get a lot more out of the SFB or whatever they're called now than majority of schools, especially small schools.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about this little boiler, but you're right. So we're still working on that. It's just, I mean, we don't need to talk about it every month. I can update you on it every month, but like the HVAC system, but we're saving up to address it in
Yeah.
the SFB. That's why we've held on to APS money and all these other funds and we don't want to take all these other funds down to the ground either because of the HVAC track. I think we could probably get by with the Sender track. We can talk all day about it.
Okay. Anything else?
So because of the vote tonight on the cafeteria thing, what exactly,
It's gonna happen.
yes,
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that myself. We probably are in jeopardy of not having a meal service next year, actually.
so that's for next school year.
Yeah, starting July 1st.
Okay.
Could have jeopardized that. Not trying to I'm not giving a guilt trip or anything. You guys vote how you want. We'll make it happen. But it could jeopardize the whole service.
That's why I'm saying, what other options do we have?
What if
Then
we
we're
try
Andrew
just,
said in
what if we
lunch.
just do the lunch thing?
Yeah.
And see what happens
Without the breakfast.
without breakfast?
That would have probably been our recommendation, had you voted yes, to drop breakfast,
But wouldn't it affect the management fees? I mean, what if they
No,
voted no
management fees
because of
are
the
in-
management fees?
Management fees, that doesn't matter. It's management fees are fixed. Doesn't matter what we decide to do as a district. If we say we want to serve breakfast or we don't want to serve breakfast,
Less meals, I would think it would.
no, it's not driven by the the management fee is not driven by the number of meals. So it's a fixed amount. It's negotiated.
Swans, and they can try there with a microwave.
No,
Swans is
Swans is expensive.
Yes, it
Good
is.
grief. When's
But
the last
that's-
time you bought from Swans?
Never.
Yeah, you can tell.
So yeah, we probably would have not, had you approved the contract, we probably would not have done, or else done a grab and go where you pay for it, you walk up to the cart and pay for it if you want it, but not a.
But we'll find out once you call them tomorrow and say what news is.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well-
like Andrew said, they'll have some,
And this is not picking, not just if that was what you were going to do, to say, okay, we're minus 61,000, but if you renew this contract, we think we can be less than this next year because we're not gonna do, that's information that we need to know. Because as a school board member, all I see is a big, that's a hole, minus 61,000. And it was previously, before COVID, it was the exact same thing. We had massive hits in that area.
But they may be able to come back and say, without breakfast service and with doing a couple things here, we can save you $10,000, $20,000. And it brings a different discussion up to the board, up to the table instead of same old
Yeah.
60,000 in the hole.
I feel, just my own, I feel like it's reasonable to expect some kind of expense because we are so small. And we have a lot of low-income families and that kind of, I understand that. But we could just reduce that. And in preparation for what's gonna happen in our future, we just cannot keep providing things that we can't afford. Everybody is gonna have to make sacrifices. And I feel like breakfast is an easy one to do. We haven't had it that long,
Yeah, no, and
so.
I don't disagree with you at all on that.
And the other difference is, as far as when you start looking for places where we have to make sacrifices, I'm not sure that whether or not you can get a breakfast or a lunch at Joe City Schools is gonna determine whether or not you come to Joseph City Schools. There's so many other things that our schools offer, along with our teachers, number one, and classroom size.
Track, pool, weight.
That we're not necessarily, but no, our school district offers a lot. And this is just my personal feeling, I think cafeteria is way down on the list for reasons why people come to Joseph City Schools.
Well, we haven't had it the cafeteria hasn't been here that long either. I mean, breakfast is shorter, but I can,
It's been here about, was it 20 years?
The cafeteria, yeah, they built that thing in like '02.
So 20, yeah, about 20 years.
Still old yet?
There you go.
I don't feel like it was that long ago.
Time flies, we're having fun.
But 20 years ago
No
to me is
one.
not that long. I think to me that's pretty recent.
That might say how old you are.
But hey,
But even the pool cost, I mean, as a school, I mean, here we're gonna start getting, I know we're going and they got an assembly and my kid may get some, but anyways, the cost of the pool, what does it cost? If it's costing $60,000 a year, that may be something you can bring to the board and say, you wanna feed them or let them swim?
Yeah, there are things that we offer here that are not required.
I mean, you hate to cut the pool because
And food service is a small part
the
of that,
pool, yeah, and
a small piece of that.
but when it comes to having to figure out where to get mean, you have
the
to,
voters have passed overrides and things like that to support the pool, and that's a community thing.
That's the other
We haven't had
Well,
overrides.
Yeah.
No, we don't
But
have.
we did have a bond, the voters passed a bond. No, our cafeteria was not built with bond money, was it? That was built with
SFB project.
SFB money. Yeah, that was a SFB
It's not a
project.
bond.
but I agree. But what else can we bring to the table? Because
Yeah.
right now,
But if I remember right, the pool was like, we've gone down this road before, it was like, that's why we shut it off for so many months, because it's like 10,000
Didn't you
or
tell us
something
it was
like that.
2,000 or something to heat a
Yeah.
month? It seems
Might
like,
have.
yeah,
But I think that's gone down because we got a cover for it. So we're trying to mitigate that loss. The gas is what it really costs us and the chemicals. But, just one quick point, we don't really have to make a lot of cuts right now, so. We budgeted for all these things.
but it is nice to look at what different things cost so you can figure out where to go the best,
Right.
make the best decisions. If you don't know what everything is on the table, it's pretty hard to
And
make
whatever you want to know, I would.
good decisions.
I'm more scared of inflation kicking us than APS
Yeah.
shutting down.
Well, yeah, inflation is out there. It's a real threat to schools, no doubt.
I mean, there's no way your bus service can keep up with the cost of fuel.
Well, and that's exactly what's happening to our food service program, is inflation.
Yeah.
Okay, can we go to the upcoming meetings and events calendar?
So you got kindergarten promotion, May 16th, eighth grade promotion, May 17th, high school graduation, May 18th. Note the times on those. We are we're expected to be at the eighth grade promotion and the high school graduation up on the stage, correct?
Do we have those posted as meetings, cause we'll all be
Yes.
together? Okay.
Yes. I believe the kindergarten promotion's posted as well, isn't it?
Yes.
In case we're all there.
I will
Okay,
not
and then
be.
our next board meeting is June 13th. At 6 o'clock. And I think that takes us to, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
No second.
Andrew?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
myself, yes, Dayton.
All right. Thank you guys for your
We're adjourned 7:34.
Thank you, Brian.
Pass those papers so I can sign, 'cause I need to go on.
You can go up to the awards.
When did
You
it
don't-
start?
yeah, you don't have to.
Seven.
It is, no, other than that.
Here's,
No, and then some